Right. So we're on to planning and operational variances. Oops, sorry. What's going on here? Oh, wait, oh, how did that happen? Right. Oh, interesting. Oh, right. That's very surreal. Discard. Let's see what happens there. So that's that. Let's just do that again. Okay, great. So yes, we're on to planning and operational variances. Now, what we're really talking about here, and when I do an example, of course, it'll be clearer. But we're really sort of arguing that, you know what, there might have been problems with our initial plan. Our initial plan. So that's where the planning variance starts. So we're sort of saying that thing we call standard might not be quite so standard. There might be changes. So, for example, and this is really classically a volume thing. You thought the plan was to sell whatever 100 items, you end up selling 150 items. So I'm going to say, well, the variance is 50, but I'm just saying that this might not really be quite the case. This was the initial plan, and then things actually changed, typically due to maybe fundamentally you had no power over this. So this might have moved. So if this had moved, we'll do an example to maybe 120. I should really have adjusted it because right now I'm rewarding you for too much when I should only be rewarding you for 30. That sort of thing. That's really so. Let's just go through it. The standard, of course, is set as part of the budgeting process, which occurs before the period to which it relates. This means that this difference between standard and actual may arise partly due to an unrealistic budget. Like I said, this might be an old budget, so we need to revise it. So what you're really watching out for is what was this original standard and what has it adjusted to? Do that first. And that thing you're doing there is the planning variance. And everything else becomes the operational, what you actually did. If you like, revise to and it may be important to need to revise it to enable actual performance to be compared with a standard that reflects these changed conditions. So we have your traditional variance, which compares, this is the whole thing. And then what we can then do is break this apart, if you like, into a planning variance and an operational variance. So you can see here it says compare the revised budget. Compare the revised budget with the original. So again, like I said, you had your original, and then you have actual. But what I'm saying is that there's a revised. We're going to move this a little, and that's revised. It's still flexed. We're just revising it. And now, so this is your planning variance, and then compare this with your operational. This might have gone this way, I don't know, but the key point is that revise your original. And the difference between your old original and your new original is your planning. And the difference between the revised and what actually happens is the operational. Let's see a nice example here. CYU 15. So it says that these people have a sales budget of 400,000 units. That's the plan. And this was based on a 20% of the total market kind of structure or plan. And the plan is to make £3 on a profit of £3 on every unit. Now, if you remember when I taught this, I used to use some simple graphs to talk about sales volume. I said here you had to be trying to make volume of 400,000. You were making profit of £3. And so therefore, you were expecting profit of 3 times 400,000. Well, under traditional analysis, if you sold 450,000, which is what this question is saying, well, we would have said that your variance was that you sold 50,000 more at £3, giving you 150,000. So it'd be like, wow, well done to you. Right? That's the story here. But let's look at the question carefully. I'm just going to change my pen color here to purple. If we look at the question says actually industry reports showed that the total market volume had been this. So the argument is that we expect you, this has been 400 based on 20% of total market. So it means that the total market must have been at the time assumed to be 2 million. But actually it went up to 2.2 million. So if the market has increased, we expect you, or we should recalculate this 20%, that this is an old standard. The market has gone up, so we should, and this is very normal, as you can imagine. if that standard is to be useful, and if we can build on it in terms of make comparisons. So 20% of, so my new task is to find the revised standard. What's the revised standard? And the revised standard really is 20% of 2.2 million, which is 440,000. So if I come here, so my new standard actually is 440,000. So I've revised my old budget, and this bit here, the difference between the old revision and the new revision, if you like, which is 40,000, is purely a planning variance. It's just as a result of planning. There were some issues, or that things have changed. So this has nothing to do with anyone. This is just pure, you know, or when I say nothing to do with anyone, not really to do with your hard work. The market increased, and so therefore the market kind of took that. That's just due to the market. More people came, more people bought the product. So that's that variance, which is 120,000. Well, therefore, if I want to see what you did from an operational point of view, I'll be looking at this bit here, which is the 10,000 times 3, which is 30,000. So really, the variance really that we can award to you is 30,000 for your hard work, and therefore the rest was just purely due to just the increase in population, really, which is really the shift. Basically, the increase in demand was just purely due to population and was not due to you. Okay, and probably, yeah, well, probably price would have gone up as well, I imagine, just because. But for now, the key point here is that we have an increasing population. And so the operational variance is 10,000, sorry, 30,000, and the planning variance is 120,000. And that's how we address these things. Cool, great stuff. And that, if you like, is your planning and operational variance. I'm going to look. Yeah, I think that's it. Really, I'm going to look in the book and do, yes, and then I'm going to do a planning and operational variance for labor now. But it's just making sure you're practicing and you can see what's going on. I'll do another question now on labor. Okay, great stuff.